Good morning, good early afternoon, good evening. Don't know what to say if you're on the moon. Welcome back to the daily tips of Empower Your Voice, Unlocking Your Podcasting Potential with your host, Lillian Cauldwell, sponsored by Passionate World Talk Radio Network, Educate, Enlighten, and Entertain. Sorry for not being around for the past several days, but between the internet, high winds, flooding waters, things got interesting at this part of Pennsylvania. But I'm back today. So the daily tip today is, how many of you, raise your hands, ever have nerves before you need to stand up in front of your boss and give your book report or your planned presentation, or you had to stand up and address a group of your peers, and all of a sudden the sweat broke out underneath your armpits, even though the deodorant promised that you will remain dry for the next 150 days? Be that as it may, everybody, and I mean everyone, has a case of nerves whenever they're asked to speak, whether it's the 1 minute type where you have to stand up and announce an event or something that was planned but is now canceled, or where you have to give a speech, or worse yet, you have to stand up in front of 100+ participants at a conference or a retreat, or even in a small circle of like sinners who are there because they have the bad habit of drinking Coca-Cola 5 times in a space of an hour before they even get out of bed. Whatever the reason, podcasting will certainly help you curb your frights, quote unquote, of appearing in front of people. When I was growing up in elementary and junior high, we were asked to read the newspaper the night before, pick a current event, read it over, and then in our own words, craft a paragraph to speak about it. And then the next day, the teacher called upon you, and you would stand by your desk with your hands held behind your back, probably twisted into knots, and you had to recite what you had either memorized or spoken through or practiced in front of your parents about that current event. And yes, my friends, there are always those students who either forget it or disdain the instructions by the teacher, and they would listen avidly to the one or two current event sections that attracted them, write down some notes, put it in their own vernacular, stand up and recite a different spin on what they just heard from somebody else because they were not prepared. Podcasting is like that. I know very few people who can stand up at a moment's notice and talk about everything off the top of their head. There are a few of us who can do that and arrange it inside, but not everyone has that ability or the inclination to do that. I remember teaching over at the Boys and Girls Club in Modesto, California. And one of the young ladies taking my podcasting training course told me, I want to be a professional actress, but I don't have the nerve, quote unquote, to stand before them and recite them. And I said, you just finished taking the course, get your certification, do your podcast via my station, and I guarantee you'll be able to get that part you want. Guess what? She took the 2 month course, mastered the speech she needed to master for the audition, and nailed it. She got the part. And I got this glowing thank you note from this 14-year-old girl who was between being a child and becoming a woman, and neither part of her body was in the right spot at the right time. But she got the part because she had the confidence to stand up there and to give it what the part required in order for her to secure it. Now, I'm the type of person who can do pretty well in front of an audience, but there's several tricks I learned along the way. One of them is you can't always count on having a microphone, so you have to project your voice. Number two, find somebody at the back of the audience and glue your eyes to them. Now, one of my instructors used to tell me, think of them as undressed. But I don't think it works that well with guys for whatever the reason. However, what I will tell you is find a person to concentrate your gaze on, keep your gaze fixated on that person, and deliver that, whatever, to them as if they're the only person who is listening to you. Don't grip the podium. Body language, folks. Don't look like you have no idea of what you're saying. If you're doing a video, keep your eyes in front. Or if you need to swivel them to read a teleprompter, that's fine. Since a lot of people on TV and on the films now uses one to get their lines straight. However, you don't want your eyes to go around or look up or look down continuously, because that will tell people you're reading. Now, I read a juicy tidbit about the Lord of the Rings, about one of their actors, where his lines were changed 20 seconds before they started filming him. So he held the new script on his knees while he sort of looked at and read what he needed to read. And he got away with it because part of his character demanded that he look that way anyway. But you cannot depend on things like that happening. So what am I saying? I'm saying before I need to take a plane, bus, train, car, or anything else, I usually go to the bathroom 200 times. My grandson is always amused. Those are nerves. But when I start heading to where I need to go to find my gate, I'm fine. It's just the initial beginning of that journey, which always unnerves me. In a few more weeks, one of my people who work at the station will show you some very simple breathing techniques that you can do to calm yourself down whenever and wherever you need to give a presentation, or even if you're going to do a rebuttal one-on-one with your boss. You've got to believe in yourself. You have to be confident and secure and understand that what you have to say is just as important and life helping as everybody else. And as they tell ice skaters, if you fall or make a mistake in your routine, keep on going. And that's what you need to do when you give your presentation. Now, I understand how people give perfect TED Talks, but they practice 10, 15 hours every single day before they actually get on stage. So they're letter perfect. Not everybody has that kind of time. So instead of letting your nerves, quote unquote, take over, put them back where they belong. Read a book, do jumping jacks, sing a song, do a little dance, have a cup of tea, anything that you feel will calm you down, because you know in that deepest recess of your mind that you're more than capable of delivering that podcast. I want to thank you for joining me this afternoon, this evening, this morning on Empower Your Voice, Unlocking Your Podcasting Potential. Two announcements. One, Vicki Esther Chang, the creator of the Golden Nugget series, will be interviewed on April 19th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Subtract Western by 3 hours, Central by 2 hours, or add a full day if you're in Singapore, 5 hours in England, Scotland, Ireland, 5 hours in France, and the rest you can look up for the international times as compared to Eastern Standard Time, and Hawaii and Alaska has their own time. Two, I offer additional training for podcasting, empower your voice, unlocking your podcasting potential, or what I call the podcast obstacle course, because nothing is smooth sailing. You always have to jump over a hurdle to get to the next part. What does this training involve? 5 modules, each lasting 30 to 45 minutes. No, you just don't sit there and listen or take down notes. A workbook is provided to you so you can take your notes in the workbook. No, my friends, you have to actually practice what you're learning. In other words, there's interaction between you and I. I ask questions, you answer. You answer with the definitions, what it means to you, and then we're going to learn how to put a podcast together. So by the end of the course, you'll have 3 completed podcasts and 3 weeks, 1 podcast per week, to be aired on passionateworldtalkradio.com. At the end of the course, you will be certified with a certificate. And if you're still interested in pursuing a podcasting career or hobby, doesn't have to be a career, it could be a hobby, talk to me and you may win a chance to be an intern at the station for 6 months. How does that grab you? Listen, when I started the station, nobody knew who I was. I started out with 0, zip, nada. And now I'm over 10 million strong, heard in 176 countries. And people, PR agencies from all over the world come after my hosts who work for the station to get them on these host show. So think about that. Interested? Text me, 484-364-1032. Name, email, phone number, good time to call. Email me, pwrnetworkllc@gmail.com. Name, email address, phone number, good time to call. Or if you already have a podcast and you want to take some additional training or be reminded of some things that you may have missed the first time or you need to rehear again, I can do one-on-one sessions. I do group sessions. Schools, colleges, middle school, high school students. Yes, continuing education. Yes, I deal with all of them. So please, interested, contact me. You'll be glad you did, because by the time you're finished, and who has ever really finished learning? Never. If you want to continue to grow, you can grow with passionateworldtalkradio.com. Thank you very much. Also, you can see this on youtube.com/PWR Network, PW Talk Radio, Facebook.com/Passionate World Radio, and over at PassionateWorldTalkRadio.com/blog. Have a terrific day. See you tomorrow, which will be a little late because, folks, I have a dental appointment. Thank you very much.